thank you again for the invitation and the opportunity to share my thoughts with you. It's an honor and a challenge to speak today, but I'll try to do that. Okay, I'll start. Um, in contemporary century, in 21st century, wars are no longer fought solely on the battlefield. They are fought in the media, of course, in cyberspace, and perhaps most intriguingly, in the realm of memes. Today, I will try to explore how memes have emerged as a unique and powerful act of disobedience during the ongoing war, Russian brutal war against Ukraine. Mostly today presentation will be focused on insights from our latest article featuring Dmitry Yarovis and Kudima, title as shown on the screen. A QR code is provided here, and I encourage you to read it. Memes become absolutely powerful act of disobedience in the ongoing war in Ukraine, challenging oppressive narratives, undermines the aggressor's authorities, and fostering resilience among Ukrainians. Here is how memes function as an act of defiance and resistance. And you can see, of course, like a joke on the 8-day God created memes. It says like memes become more and more important part of our everyday life, and our consuming of memes is absolutely, without any, you know, all time we are doing that. And from the inaugural text of the first memorial in 2020, meme analysis, or in 2020 reads, memes move elections, memes move revolutions, memes move consciousness, memes push laughter out of our dark cavernous insides. They serve as a coping mechanism during the first global pandemic in our lifetime. They disrupt discourse faster than any other medium. They create society. What is that? What is meme at all? The concept of meme, of course, as you know, was originally created by English biologist Richard Dawkins in 1976 in his book, The Selfish Gen. And he argued that, like the gene, the meme is a unit of information storage and dissemination, but in culture. Since a meme is a unit of information, it has cultural, transmission, the transfer and production of cultural patterns, norms, concepts, and established opinions that, prevail in a particular society. In other words, meme is an any idea, symbol, style, phrase, even metaphors we live by, or way of doing things that is consciously or unconsciously transmitted from person to person through language, image, audio, etc. It's called like the ability to replicate, reproduce, and disseminate. That's why a meme is so popular in information warfare, for instance. A meme can survive, change, die, and revive. Dawkins' groundbreaking definition of the meme has significantly influenced discussion and research across, various humanities, cultural studies, social sciences, disciplines. Memes have been widely recognized as a pivotal tool for comprehending the dissemination and impact of ideas on the behavior and dynamics of social groups, and larger societies. Essentially, memes have been perceived as a cultural force, serving as vehicle, for established concepts and representation. It's very important question in which way memes, doing this representation, or some subvert discourse or undermine some ideas, and so on, so on, so on. With the unprecedented emergence of the internet and social media, of course, in our uncertainly, age, the notion of memes has undergone a profound transformation, centering of the rapid propagation of visual or textual content in the online sphere, of course. The shift from traditional cultural memes to internet memes and has captured the attention, or and so on, so on, has captured influence on contemporary communication, political dialogue, individual identities, and the intricate, maybe, fabric of digital culture. And okay, so we define meme as a short piece of information referencing a specific event, specific person, or specific or widely context that spreads like a virus of the internet. In modern society, a meme is always understood as a small message containing image, text, or any topic, like mostly like joke, but it's not true. It's not only about joke, it's not only about satire. Usually a lot of memes, become meme because it's they catch in something inside us, I mean, inside among society, they trying to represent some um, identities, some eye-catching ideas. They trying to polarize. They trying to get something inside our, our soul, or inside our mind, and so on, so on, so on. It can be a joke about everything, about work, about parenthood, about the Soviet Union, about famous personalities, about historical events, and so on. Uh, Very important is a visual power of the content, because largely presented through the memes emotionally resonates with the audience and spreads the messages rapidly via entertainment. It works in a similar manner as the video games and comics, which, due to their rich visual content, are easily understood and widely disseminated, making them effective tools for influential perceptions. Another very important thing for, feature making memes efficiency is a simplicity of the creation and shaping. The meme templates, sorry, are easily adaptable and often consist of favorite images or symbols with the empty text spaces, allowing users to insert their messages. Meme templates can be so quickly modified, share on social media platform, reaching a broad audience quickly. Typically anonymous nature of meme creation, and dissemination makes it challenging to trace the origin. That's why a lot of meme, mostly are anonymically memes. And most provocative, most entertaining, and particular attention I would pay to testimonials when internet memes, where internet memes are created and distributed in coordinated way and look like a kind of protest and shape the discourse of values, privatize the truth, and devalue opponents. Memes can quickly convey complex ideas and emotions across borders, mobilize support, raise awareness, strengthen unity among dispersed populations, and spread rapidly uh, uh, um, through society. But both representing and shaping social perceptions, memes can facilitate information warfare at the cognitive level and influence the perceptions of individuals, groups, and potentially entire nation. Uh, later I will show you most popular examples of it. Another things, it's story about the state of existing of memes. Where is a stage? Where is a space that we are usually consume memes? That usually memes is exist. Where we're sharing memes, doing something with that, replicate that, or so on, so on, so on. Simultaneously, uh, meme is cultural trigger, a sign, a symbol, an act, a narrative, because meme usually tells a story about something, about event, about person, about personality, about political systems, and so on, so on, so on. At the same time, meme is a simulacrum and a discourse itself. Like, why meme is a cultural trigger? Because at their core, memes function as a cultural triggers that evoke immediate emotional or intellectual responses by referencing, sharing cultural experience, for instance, historical or other moments or popular phenomenon. Memes ignite, conversation, inspire action, or provoke reflection. Memes all time, get something from us, would like to take something from us. I mean, like reaction, like, for example, during the Ukrainian war, memes like Russian warship go fuck yourself, sorry, acted as a catalyst for resistance, instantly resonating with global audiences and relying support for Ukraine's cause. These triggers are often imbued with humor, irony, poignancy, making them memorable and impactful. You can see now memes as a weapon of resistance. Russian warship. Meme as a sign and symbol. Of course, meme also exists as a signs and symbols within semiotic frameworks. A sign they convey meanings through their visual or textual components, often relying on cultural context to be understood. For instance, the image of Ukrainian tractor towing a Russian tank, has become a potent symbol of resilience and defiance. As a symbol, memes encapsulate broader ideas, values, or ideologies, distilling complex messages into easily digestible, forms. Their symbolic nature enable them to transcend language barriers, creating universal connections in an increasingly globalized world. And why memes are being like an act? Because beyond their representation role, memes function as acts, performative expressions of participation, resistance, solidarity, sharing, creating, or remixing. Memes is an active engagement in cultural and political discourse. For instance, during especially moment of crisis and stability, meme sharing becomes a collective act of, copying, protest again. Each act of engagement amplifies the meme's impact, transforming individuals' contributions into a larger movement or larger support or larger, never mind. It may be about absolutely be about polarization and so on, so on. Memes often all time usually tell stories, making them compelling, narratives in their own right. Even if we can't see any story on picture, there is a story is in a big background of meme. Uh, they distill complex events, emotions, or ideologies into simplified yet powerful formats. During the Ukrainian war, or during the Russian war in Ukraine, to be more clear and correct, memes have constructed narratives to heroism, resistance, resilience, shape global perception of the war. Trying to get to catch global audience. These narratives can challenge official and, of course, Russian propaganda, offer counter narratives, or reinforce shared values like NATO, like, St. Javelin, special meme creation channel, making memes central to, to storytelling at all. Of course, as a simulacrum, memes blur the line between reality and representation. They often replicate and reinterpret real world events, creating layers of meaning that may diverge from the origin context. This phenomenon reflects, a lot of time ago, Jean Baudrillard and his concept of simulacrum, where representation become realities in themselves. But to me, most interesting is like meme as a simulacrum is a like story about catching more important idea and subvert discourse or undermine official narratives and undermine some propaganda narratives, and finally memes exist as a discourse, shaping and be shaped by the culture, political or social conversation, of that time. They encapsulate dominant ideologies, challenge power structure, and reflect societal anxieties. Some very illustrative examples of meme like as an act of disobedience. Ukrainian woman, you can see now its story about defiance, about resistance at all, but memes here became a part of a weapon of ridicule, resistance, and I would like to say its story about virality at all. Ukrainian woman confronting Russian soldiers, you see it now, saying, "You say you came to my land with arms. So here, put some sunflower seeds in your pockets. So when you will be buried in my land, the sunflowers will grow. Curse on you." It's story about just not only women's protests of Russians occupation or Russian soldiers. It's story about how some phrase, how some act in real life potentially can be, ground from their the seeds of memes could grow and could share among societies and shape discourse at all. Of course, I now I'm saying about discourse of resistance, and it's just several examples of it. Oh wait, it's here in my pocket, and we can see sunflower seeds. Even animation that people or Ukrainian soldiers can, or Ukrainian just normal people trying to use sunflower. But Ed, how do you know this was a battlefield? That well, I know the story will be archived, of course, because it's absolutely potential, full of potential, potential of full little. Sorry, this story or this meme full of a lot of narratives on the background, a lot of storytellings about Russian occupation and Ukrainian resistance on the ground. How Russian soldiers enter Ukraine versus how Russian soldiers leave Ukraine. It's about ridiculous, like one of the most important way to protest, to resist Russia aggression and Russia, all Russia even atrocities that Russia committed here in Ukraine. The next one is I mentioned it earlier. It's story about Russian warship ED, and go on. The meme was born on February 24 when the Russian missile cruiser Moscow and the enemy patrol ship Vasily Bykov approached the Ukrainian island of Zmyiny, where 13 border guards of the Ismail border detachment were located. The Russian twice declared to the garrison, I am a Russian warship. I will present myself to the defense and get ready. In response, as you know, one of the Ukrainian bodyguards of the island Zmyiny replied, Russian warship, go to our, you can understand. And the phrase become one of the symbols of the struggle against the Russian invaders. And the bold response was received with admiration by people, and the phrase became a meme, but not only. It's again become a part of our history, and you can see this on the right, maybe on the right side of my presentation, postmark of this act of disobedience. You know, the reason for the popularity among the people of this phrase was a categorical refusal of the author of this phrase to offer to surrender to the enemy. Memes have emerged as a powerful weapon at all of resistance in Ukraine, effectively transforming the harsh realities of war into tools of resilience and defiance against Russian aggression by using humor, satire, ridicule, and poignant messages. Memes empower Ukrainians to not only undermine the enemy's narrative but also to boost their own morale. Um, the viral image of Ukrainian farmers I mentioned, digital creations of every, maybe of every event or every important event for Ukrainians, not only ridicule the aggressor, but also strip them of their authority, exposing their weaknesses in ways to traditional weapons simply cannot achieve. You know, uh, Another way, very important, I would like to say, it's memes as a resistance under occupation. Because in occupied territories of Ukraine, where open dissent can be life threatening, memes have become a subtle yet powerful form of resistance. Anonymous creators craft memes mocking collaborationist officials, such as cartoons portraying them as incompetent or corrupt puppets of the occupiers, turning these figures into object of ridicule. And for example, during the occupation of Kherson, memes circulated online mocking pro Russian authorities, failed attempts to enforce loyalty, often pairing their images with humorous captions highlighting their, ineptitude. These memes inspire quiet acts of defiance, such as graffiti or passive non-compliance, while also fostering a sense of solidarity among residents. By spreading online and throughout encrypted channels, they remind those under occupation that resistance continues and that they are not alone in the struggle. In such way, memes are playing very important role. They become, some form of communication act that saying people, I am not alone, we are together, we're trying to create the society and still stick, against Russians at all. I mean, memes in that way, it's not only about resistance, it's about community, it's about identification, it's about partisanship, it's about partisan maybe war. My very important, and I should tell you about it, it's memes as a challenge of authoritarianism. Political leadership is very important category for thinking how memes circulated and why people consume memes so much. And the Russian meme space largely built on the cult of personality of their leader. The primary defender of freedom and real democracy is Vladimir Putin, of course. He's portrayed as a mythological hero who fights with everyone who are against the interests of Russia. A whole soteriological mythological circle is formed here. Instead, the countries of democratic world are shown as enemies, as simulacra of freedom. The main antagonist of such, personalized memes is, of course, the United States. And Russian propaganda uses well established visual metaphors. Like Putin is Superman, Putin holds power, Putin can do everything, Putin can help society. The Kremlin towers represent visually as a symbol of power, and so on, so on, so on, so on. While for the democratic countries, values don't tend to have much association with personalities and are rather rooted in the institutional, frameworks and collective governance for autocracies. It's quite a common approach to focus on personalities. It can make the autocratic paradigm more fragile and easily manipulated. um, in democracies, the absence of such central figures leads to a more diffuse representation of values, while strengthening institutional resilience can also explore vulnerabilities as leaders become subject to fluctuating public opinions. Power relation, it's another very important issue of understanding how memes usually work, like an act of protest on like a warfare, very important tool in warfare. Very important things is power relations, like often demonstrating stability, peace. Of course, I'm telling now about Russian or authoritarian types of memes, spreading by or producing by Russia, by this institute like very well known like Matryoshka, often demonstrating stability, peace, and strength, or ignoring violence against people and political repression. On the contrary, their propaganda spreads information about how bad other countries, usually democratic ones, are, and that real democracy is in authoritarian countries. Thus, the Russian meme, the Russian memes, or Russian meme space, I would like to say, emphasizes how good their leader is. Kind, strong. It's all time. It's story about leader, and sometimes it's story about bad Americans or enemy, Western enemies, and how good everywhere they trying to show in memes how good their leader is, kind, strong, and defending the country's identity. Nobody messes with Russia, while the leaders of the liberal democracies, for instance, are weak and flawed. The distortion of reality through memes allows authoritarian regimes to craft an idealized image of power and stability, masking their internal repression and systematic violence that might otherwise provoke dissent. Russian memes create a simplified and emotionally resonant narrative that not only distract from the country's domestic issues, but also bolsters nationalistic pride. Externally, via spreading disinformation about democratic countries, authoritarian regimes attempt to discredit alternative governance models and attack their appeal. It underlines that democracies are weak and autocracies are strong, and Russia is a new rising global power. It's absolutely this binary framing, binary opposition. Autocracies as strong as stable, democracies as weak as chaotic, reinforces authoritarian propaganda. It's very important to understand, and it's usually can explain for us why Russia is so aggressive in their primitive forms of sharing or shaping narratives, because it's simple for understand it, because they are very mythological, because in heart of this primitive narratives is a myth or system of myths about binarity opposition, good and evil, white and black, America and Russia, versus, of course, all time versus. And it's my lovely story. It's about historical memes, because I absolutely believe that historical memes are such important and more catching. They potentially can, influence in our. They can get nostalgia or influence on our mind, can provoke to do something, to say something about that. Oh, okay, dozen years ago it was absolutely perfect life, and it was great USSR, for instance. Or in our way, I mean in our Ukrainians way, it's very important trying to revise our personal history, trying to say about Ukraine in USSR in terms of colonization and decolonization, because and absolutely I believe that memes play crucial role in this march of decolonial practices everywhere in Central as Eastern Europeans, among Eastern European countries. On the context of the social other today's social issues is this group of memes historical uh, spread stereotypical visions on the struggle between democracy and authority, between Russia and Ukraine, between Russia and America, I mean USA, and of course, this group of memes, historical memes, very illustrative. As a rule, their main element is an image, and the textual accompaniment is often used as an ironic or post ironic hint. Historical memes can perform various functions: provoke, tell, again, tell narratives, tell stories about history, you know, identify, recreate reality, inform, entertain, simplify. It's very important and very difficult problem of simplifying of reality, simplifying of the past. But memes is doing that, and present the past, create viral epidemics of the, in discussion of the past, help, teach, evoke emotions, or manipulate. Historical memes circulating online are also historical sources containing much information about meme consumers communities. When we look at memes, we can see what historical topics are used as arguments, what templates are popular, how a particular meme reproduces the past, ridiculous, glorifies, is proud of, humiliates it, and what languages use, obscene vocabulary, warlike vocabulary, hate speech, established phrases, metaphorical phrases, common use phrases, some catching words or phrases, and what stereotypes about the past are reproduced, whether they are in line with the official policy of the state regarding the past. Again, binarity opposition, a principle of binary opposition is here too. Freedom, unfreedom, good, evil, victors, defeated, and so on. Speaking of historical memes, Ukraine also has been utilizing them as a tool of, resistance, war, propaganda since February 2022 to underline the high level of resilience in the war, or to underline the role of the allies in supporting the country in defending democracy. And historical memes in Ukraine have emerged as a patent acts of cultural disobedience, challenging Russian imperial narratives and reclaiming the country's identity by invoking the legacy of Kiev and Rus, as you know. You can see one of my lovely memes here. Princess Olga of Kiev, burn them all. It's absolutely, battle memes of battlefield. I mean, this meme undermine this Russian historical argument about Kiev and Rus. These memes assert Ukraine's historical continuity and sovereignty in the face of Russian claims that dismiss its distinct nationhood. Uh, or like, for example, memes, Vladimir Putin with maps of Kiev and Rus humorously highlight the absurdity of Russia's effort to appropriate Ukrainians' medieval heritage. These digital artifacts serve as usually not only like a tool of resistance, but subverting narrative that seeks to erase Ukraine history in empowering communities to assert their cultural autonomy. By embedding historical references in humor, memes, connect the past with the present, reframing ongoing conflicts as part of a centuries long struggle for independence. Its memes play a very important role trying to describe this very long way of resistance, Ukrainian resistance against Russian empire, imperial policy, then USSR policies, and again imperial autocracy policy about Ukrainians. And of course, historical memes here critique Soviet legacies and modern Russian authoritarianism by drawing parallels between past and present oppressors. Memes satirizing figures like Stalin or Khrushchev alongside contemporary Russian leaders exposed the cyclical nature of imperial ambition, using irony to undermine stability Russian propaganda. But I should say that sometimes Russian historical memes are so productive, and people usually, there are a lot of people who share in them without any critique, without any, deconstruction. But during the this Russian brutal war, memes portraying Ukraine as a resilient bastion of freedom, from the Cossack era to modern time, serve both to educate society and inspire. A lot of people abroad know nothing or knew nothing about Ukraine till February 2022. And this group of memes, historical memes, you know, was very important tool of teaching something, saying some stories about Ukraine, about Ukrainians people, about Ukrainian history, about Cossacks, about Kievan Rus history, about Russian imperial times history, and so on, and at least they circulate as an act of quiet rebellion, particularly as occupied territories where they challenge effort to erase Ukrainian identity. In blending humor, history, and resistance, these memes transcend their digital origins to become symbol of defiance, fostering unity, and resilience in the face of aggression. Memes in the context of Ukrainian war, or in the context of war in Ukraine, Russian war in Ukraine, meme highlight the power of cultural transmission in shaping resistance and disobedience. Their rapid replication, adaptability, and psychological impact make them very important tools for undermining oppressors and fostering unity. By blending humor, critique, and defiance, meme transcend the digital realm, leaving a lasting imprint on the collective consciousness of both Ukrainians and their supporters worldwide. In this sense, memes are not just viral, but vital to the war effort, encapsulating the spirit of resistance in the face of aggression. And memes, for us, still being very important tool to sharing stories about Ukraine, to asking you help, Ukraine and Ukrainians, to asking you stay together, because in using this very simplified, primitive, maybe some alternative forms of communication um, seems very important and very productive for sharing these narratives about war here on the ground in Ukraine. Thank you, and I left several minutes for your question, and will try to answer that.
Thank you, Anton. We are nearly out of time, but I still want to give the audience maybe one, maybe two questions. So I see a raised hand over there. Let's take that question. Please introduce yourself.
Hello, my name is Anastasia. I am an activist in Fridays for Future Ukraine. I have probably a simple question to you. What is your favorite meme?
Again, I can show you this one, Princess Olga of Kyiv, burn them all. But it's not. It was. I can understand why. It's about long Ukrainian history. This story about long Ukrainian historical protest against enemies. This story absolutely undermine this very long time created by Putin narratives about that Ukraine never existed before, that Kyiv and Rus or Kyiv, like it's saint city for Russians, and this meme includes everything we need to know about Russian imperialism, about Russian fascism, about Russian authoritarianism, and about Russian foreign policies, to be honest. Yeah.
Thank you, Anton. Unfortunately, we're out of time, so I hope that next year we can welcome you here in person so that you can interact with a very lively crowd here, a very interested crowd as well. So, ladies and gentlemen, one last round of applause for Anton joining us.